Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To The Point. Today's wet weather is a reminder that winter, of course, almost is here. As city and county leaders continue to debate housing solutions, thousands of people in Sacramento are once again expecting to spend another winter outside. And that's the focus of tonight's main point. But first, let's get an update on our weather, because only a month into fall and we're already getting our very first taste of winter. This is a live pic of I-80 out in Truckee. Trucks are being turned around at Applegate and Nevada State line, but cars are now allowed through. Let's go ahead and get things over to Monica, because Monica, this is our big first snowstorm of the year. And we got hit with rain today too.
Oh, we certainly did. Yeah, this has really opened up that storm door for us. Multiple systems in the pipeline, but you can see the most active weather right now moving off to the east through the foothills and parts of the Sierra, where snow is still falling. You saw that live picture just a moment ago. Very hazy view up there. Visibility reduced. It's dangerous travel conditions in the high country along Highway 50, 88, 89, even 395, getting areas of snow as we travel through the central Sierra. Just up the hill from Groveland and Sonora, it is turning over to snow. Arnold, it's been a mixed bag all day today. Total accumulation for the valley, we've got numbers right now at about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of rain. Foothill rain came in a little bit more impressive, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. And for the Sierra snow, it's still falling. Totals aren't quite in yet. Our high for today, well below average, only 61 degrees, that average 72. But look at this, our precipitation for today at 1/1400ths of an inch of rain. That is going to be our season total as well. Keep in mind, we reset that rain gauge. We dumped it out September 30th, started a new water year, and we're falling behind by 3/4 of an inch. Our Sierra travel, like I said, is still going to be quite dangerous for tonight. Near whiteout conditions, major travel delays, road closures possible. Chain controls, travel highly discouraged for the next 24 hours. Our winter storm warning continuing for the Sierra through tomorrow evening. Lower elevations is a winter weather advisory with more rain and snow accumulation. Only about 1/10 of an inch or so for the valley as we head into our Wednesday, but 1 to 8 inches of additional accumulation tonight through tomorrow for the high country. And you can see why. Even though the valley is only seeing some spotty showers, we have a bit more consistency for the Sierra with our snow showers falling through tomorrow afternoon. Then we get into a dry pattern Thursday and Friday. Really cold morning lows, though, with more snow in store for our weekend forecast. And that is going to get us to our timeline here. Wednesday, those showers taper off. Thursday, morning clearing with patchy frost. The weekend, Alex, we've got more rain and snow on the way.
Oh, man, I really wish the sunshine was here, but I know we need the rain. So I'm not mad about that. All right, and this rain is a good reminder to download the free ABC 10 app for the latest updates on weather and traffic any time of the day. We got you covered, so make sure that you're prepared for whatever comes your way. We will have another live report from the Sierra tonight at 11. Another high school went into lockdown today. This time, it was all a hoax. Police got a report that multiple people had been shot in Christian Brothers High School in Sacramento. Once they cleared the campus, they determined there was no shooting. And just yesterday, a middle school in Dixon went into lockdown after getting a report that a student had a weapon on campus. That one, though, was not a hoax. Dixon police say that the student had a pistol and magazines in his bag. So the Dixon Unified School District recognized this traumatic incident, posting this on Facebook saying, quote, "We realize that events such as these are scary and your student may need to be home today. If you would like to excuse your student from school for the remainder of the day, you may do so." So how are incidences like these affecting local schools and their students? How are they dealing with the fears of violence in their schools? We asked clinical psychologist Dr. Angela Drake, and she says that these kind of incidences, they can impact students' education.
I think it does take away from learning because we're really focused on what ifs and potential dangers. The reality is that most schools are safe, but it only takes one incident to go bad and you have a terrible outcome. So it puts people in a situation where they're kind of constantly worrying and activated, kind of scanning for danger. And that's understandable, but we also have to really balance out our risk, which is usually pretty low in most schools.
It's impossible to control copycat hoaxes or copycat shootings, but part of balancing out that risk is focusing on what you can control. So Dr. Drake says it's important to not pass on your own fears to your child.
One of the things that parents can do is really check their own anxiety, because if they're really anxious and worried, which is understandable, but the kids pick up on that, and then it becomes again a positive feedback loop that just creates more and more anxiety.
Dr. Drake says it's important to get involved at your child's school so you're not blindsided when things like lockdowns happen. So going to PTA meetings and asking administration about safety protocols can help you and also your kids be prepared. And we will have more on today's hoax and how police responded coming up tonight on Late News Tonight at 11. A new exhibit at the California Museum is having a powerful impact on a community whose stories are rarely told, at least until recently. And Van Tu is with us now because, Van, you actually got to go to this exhibit. But I want to ask you, why is Filipino American history now being highlighted?
Of course. Well, we just closed out October, which is Filipino American History Month. And it's only been really in the past decade that lawmakers voted to include Filipino American stories, their stories in our California textbooks. So curators of the new California is in the Heart exhibit say they're building on this momentum to make sure that their history is preserved.
That the Philippine-American War ended in 1901.
It's more than an educational trip to the California Museum.
Oh my gosh. I think it's a very emotional experience.
For Abby Principe, it's an empowering feeling of being seen and recognized as a Filipina American.
I feel like this representation is so needed, especially in our history.
And of all places, a museum that is representative of all Californians.
And it's important that we see these exhibits because it tells our story, not to the Filipino American community, but to the whole mass.
California is in the Heart is a new exhibit exploring the critical role Filipino Americans have played in state history, featuring original art, artifacts, and more.
What we're really excited about this exhibit is telling these stories that haven't been previously told.
Though Filipinos are the second largest Asian American population with roots in California since the 1500s, gathering these stories was no easy task.
I had to do cold calls with community members because I couldn't find information.
As a graduate student at Sacramento State, curator Jason Sarmiento recalls the hurdles and challenges he faced seeking out stories and information about his own heritage.
We have a storied history in the Central Coast and Morro Bay. We were one of the first landings of non-Indigenous people into California.
But this history was not well represented in digital archives and history books.
I think initially in my early academic career, it was difficult, but I see this as a win.
The exhibit is made in partnership with the UC Davis Bulacan Center for Filipino Studies, which seeks to preserve, produce, and share knowledge about the Filipino American experience. It's 100% donor and grant funded. Sarmiento says curators were able to draw from their own family histories to add to the exhibit.
I included my dad's Filipino American Club basketball jersey during our time at March Air Force Base. And the basketball jersey itself represents community building.
He hopes Filipino American visitors will be empowered to share their own family histories proudly,
in order to uplift our community's contributions to California.
So, Van, it's fair to say that this exhibit is pretty wide-ranging.
Oh, gosh, yeah, totally. So it covers everything from the contributions of Filipino Americans from the first landing in Morro Bay in the 1500s to the labor and civil rights movements of the 1960s, and even to current-day local and state government office holders who are Filipino American, even with the pandemic and the contributions of Filipino American nurses there. 20% of California's registered nurse workforce are Filipino Americans.
Wow. And if people do want to check this out, how can they do that?
Of course. So it is running through April. California is in the Heart exhibit. So it's running through April 9th. And the best part, tickets are just under $10.
Oh, that's nice. If you need something to do on the weekend, that's not bad. $10. All right, Van, thank you so much. All right, well, if you haven't heard, the Claw is back, and we're not talking about the arcade game. When we come back, we'll tell you about one chore that you can leave behind this fall. We are 1 week away from Election Day. So how is voter turnout looking so far? Well, as of today, about 2.8 million Californians have returned their ballot. That's roughly 13% of eligible voters in the state. And that number seems low, and it is. Political data analyst Paul Mitchell says his organization is expecting turnout to be closer to around 55%. So the question is, what happens between now and Election Day to make those numbers jump? Well, there's a large block of voters that will likely vote in person, but Mitchell says there's no guarantees.
There is a big question mark around a lot of Republicans. In the 2020 general, a lot of Republicans bought into this idea that they couldn't trust vote by mail and that they needed to vote in person at the polls. Still in polling, half of Republicans believe that they can't trust that their ballot will be counted if they vote by mail. So that could point to a spike in Republican turnout at the end as well. We saw that in 2020, but it's still unsure whether we'll see it in this general election.
Coming up tomorrow on To The Point, ahead of the election, we are diving into school boards. They are the largest body of elected officials, and just handfuls of people used to turn out for their meetings. But since the pandemic, politics, and Zoom, school board meetings now draw crowds. And experts that I spoke with say that they don't see this stopping anytime soon.
The school boards have always been a little bit ignored. So I think there's an opportunity since school boards are suddenly getting this focus that we understand how important they are. But the downside of that is that they can become distracted away from really fundamental learning issues. Like, are the kids learning to read? Are the kids learning to do math? Are the schools physically safe? You know, these fundamental things that like 99.9% of all parents would agree, no matter what their politics are, they would agree that these are fundamental things that schools need to do. And I think that one of the problems sometimes is if the adults go out fighting around one issue. Schools are complex places.
Tomorrow on To The Point, we are taking a look at what a school board does and what influential decisions they make about a student's education. We will also be discussing what you should look for in a candidate and, of course, the politics that is now playing into school board elections. And today is the first official day of leaf season in Sacramento. So between now and the end of January, the infamous claw will be visiting each residential street in the city of Sacramento to pick up your leaves. So the city calls on people to fill their organic waste bins first before leaving a pile out by the curb. But as leaves fall into your yard, there are a few reasons as to why you won't want to rake all of them. A thin layer of leaves on your lawn creates habitats for animals, including pollinators like bumblebees. And you can also leave your leaves on the lawn to keep your lawn from drying out after a rainstorm, much like what we saw today. And as leaves break down, they act like free mulch or fertilizer for your lawn and garden. Now, if you mow the leaves, they'll break down even faster. Just be mindful that large clumps of wet leaves can mat your grass, which we all know can kill it. So if you live in a neighborhood where you are required to rake, you can still put those leaves to use.
Rather than like leaf blowing them all away, I would say rake them into your garden beds. Use them as garden mulch. Ideally, any trees that you have in a lawn, put the leaves around the trees because it's not ideal to have grass growing directly underneath the tree where all of its roots are anyways.
So to recap, leaf collection season is now upon us, and it's okay if you leave some of them on your lawn. But for the ones that you do have to pick up, make sure that you fill your organic waste basket and then put them on the curb for trash day. All right. Meanwhile, the winter storm hitting us right now has traffic at a complete standstill out on I-80. Devin Truby is live with more. Good evening, Devin.
Alex, we've been in the same spot for about 90 minutes now, stuck between Alta and Blue Canyon because eastbound 80 is closed. Just take a look at the traffic stacked up. Everyone in park now, and multiple semis just pulled over to the shoulder because they have no place to go. The same situation headed westbound because only regular vehicles are allowed to make it through. Trucks not allowed on westbound 80 right now either. We're seeing multiple people have chains on their vehicles, no matter if it's a semi-truck or just a regular vehicle. The chain up point is all the way back in Auburn, but at this point, eastbound 80 still closed, we're told, by California Highway Patrol. It's due to multiple spinouts and crashes. Again, no movement out here. Every vehicle in park, Alex.
All right, Devin, thank you so much. Of course, we want you to remain safe, so don't forget that you can get the ABC 10 app to stay updated on all the information you need to know. All right, Devin, we'll see you a little bit later. Let's take a look at our Gilmore backyard here. It is very cold, as Devin just mentioned. So getting a look at our temperatures right now, Sacramento at 58, Tahoe seeing 31 degrees. And here's a look at your 10-day forecast. Again, that cooler temperature kicking in. We are finally entering the season of giving. So now through December 18th, our Stand Against Hunger campaign is raising money for 7 local food banks to help feed people who are in need. And tonight, Kurt Rivera takes us to the Stockton Emergency Food Bank.
Once a month, Orlando Holmes pulls up in his SUV to get basic food necessities with his trusty dog Titus by his side.
Good stuff, really. Yeah. Healthy. Good and healthy, like fruit, rice.
Homeless for a year, he says it will last him for 2 weeks, and with food stamps, helps him to survive.
One more!
At the Stockton Emergency Food Bank, the demand continues to increase at a stunning rate. In 2019, pre-pandemic, 124,000 families used the food bank. Now that number is 285,000. Demand over last year has soared by 27%.
It's people who are working every day, especially people who are working at minimum wage or around there. They're working 40 hours a week, but it just doesn't stretch anymore.
During the pandemic, the food bank would see 270 cars a day. Now, with record inflation, that number is 350 cars a day. 63-year-old Cheryl Orello comes here twice a month.
It helps me a lot because I'm on widow's benefits and I have, I'm waiting for a liver transplant.
To make it all happen, it takes a large number of volunteers like Christian and Naya.
Try to do just one at a time, Richie.
He brings along a group of mentally ill volunteers to help integrate them into the community.
They feel kind of left out, and we try to fix that. So we bring them into different volunteer sites. This is actually our main one.
They say it takes a village. In this one, thousands of lives depend on it every day.
And if you would like to donate, the food bank is looking for things like canned foods, such as green beans, corn, peanut butter, and canned meats like tuna. And of course, they will always take cash donations. Again, now through December 18th, our Stand Against Hunger campaign is raising money for 7 local food banks to help feed people who are in need. So a donation of just $1 will buy 10 meals, and then a donation of $10 will help feed a family of 4 for 1 week. For a list of participating food banks and how you can help, all you have to do is just text one word. That word is hunger to 916-321-3310. Again, that number is 916-321-3310. As always, thank you so much for spending your Tuesday with us. I want to hear what's going on in your world. And so we have Instagram, Facebook, or you can just email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com. And we will have more on the rain and the snow in the Sierras and the community meeting that is over the warehouse purchase on Watt Avenue. We have all of that coming up tonight at 11. So we'll see you then. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.